attracted me to Elvis Schoenberg's music? Well, it's that anything can happen, and most things generally do. That, you know, Jimi Hendrix and Wagner and Prokofiev and Creedence Clearwater Revival and rap and country and opera all show up in the same night to party. That's kind of cool.
I think the music's really interesting because he's sort of melding together the format of like an orchestra and a big band and a rock band in ways that the instruments, you know, you don't usually get to work together in those contexts.
I think that Elvis has probably read Nicholas Slonimsky's lexicon of scales and patterns. And he used some that I'd simply never seen or heard before, and I could tell they were hard for all the string players. So I began learning those, like these tritone substitutions. Ooh.
So we're playing an Allman Brothers tune, Ramblin' Man, and then in the middle of it, he makes me play this. That's some seriously twisted shit.
He asked me to play in tune once, and that was challenging.
He just sort of surfed into UCLA one day, and he wandered into a music class, and I think he was in the wrong place, and he just started writing music, and that's where I met him. I was hired to play music of whoever was there, and it was a bunch of composers and a surfer.
I got tricked into coming to a rehearsal by a friend, and apparently the person who played tuba before me just left suddenly and was never heard of again.
He's given the trombone some of the most bizarre things to play. I had to do a solo that he'd written once called Fossil Fuel, where I was demonstrating as a wind player how air pollution has affected me as a player. So I was required to play, cough, hack, all at the same time. If you're doing popular music, it might be ballads. But none of that for Elvis.
It's like all the different kinds of music that you knew and loved all got together in a big pile and made a monster baby.
Every gig, some deranged, crazy person comes on stage. We don't know if he's possessed of the devil or if he's just nuts, but Dangerous Dan, being a priest as well as an opera singer and ultimate fighting champion, you know, has often been called upon to do some impromptu exorcising. And so, yeah, we've had a few exorcisms on stage. All, you know, very spontaneous and very jazz.
Dangerous Dan is like his name. He's dangerous. He opens his mouth, and whether it's music or words that come out, you better stand back because Dan is going to level you. I love Dangerous Dan. He's the kind of danger that your father warned you about.
Ah, Dangerous Dan, yes. What a character. And he is in fact a character actor. The guy is a marvelous actor, an accomplished opera singer who can hold notes for just insane amounts of time. High notes. He sings tenor, so it's really something. And I believe that he is also an experienced mixed martial arts fighter who won most of his fights. So he's an imposing figure.
I think the one component of Orchestre Surreal that is just absolutely completely nuts is this guy that occasionally comes out dressed in a Viking helmet. And you would think that being Swedish, I should feel some sort of belonging with this guy, but Dangerous Dan is just off the charts. You know, if you ever see him, be on your guard, because you never know if he will attack you and have you for dinner.
We were in the Nam together, part of the USO show. We were in Da Nang in '62. Elvis was a bass player and I was a tap dancing guru.
One night, we were at the Ford Theater, and I don't know. There was a gorilla on stage and an alien, and I did not expect that. No one asked my permission. I usually don't perform with gorillas. We found out later it was okay. Like us, he was a union gorilla. He had paid his dues. He was paid up, and you know he had to do the W-9 and all that stuff. So we were cool with it.
There was this one night, an alien appeared, and we were frightened, feared for our lives, and I was asked to act as sort of a mole to coax and romance Kyle, the alien, and you know, I felt so honored to be. I felt like I was just being called upon by my nation, you know, to do good in the world. That's why I always, you know, Miss Thing is, she is just like another Nelson Mandela.
On one hand, she's brilliant. On the other hand, she's completely insane. And just the fact that she's called Miss Thing seems to imply that we're somehow supposed to objectify her, I think. And I'm doing my best to be a responsible human being and just talk dirt about her when she can't hear me.
When Elvis is doing his conducting, he uses a baton, which is cool because people like me that are really talented and trained, we kind of understand the conductor with a baton. But I've heard Elvis, like, things I don't want to know happen with that baton when he's not like frantically waving it through the air. He keeps it in weird places. I understand that he stores it in some sort of outer space gel to give it special wand properties or something. And I don't know, he has a very weird relationship with his baton. It might explain, you know, his conducting skills. I didn't say that.
He is strangely attached to it. It seems to always be by his side, either in his coat pocket or inside or in his hand. I've seen him actually control people with it, which is a little frightening, even not in a musical setting. Almost like a wizard's wand, I would say, or something similar. Although I have noticed that lately, as Elvis has gotten more mature, that his baton doesn't seem to stay as, can I use the word erect, as long as it used to when he was younger. I think this is a normal thing. He shouldn't be, you know, he shouldn't be ridiculed for it, certainly.
What has kept me with the Orchestra Surreal so long? Yeah, I mean, I think in part it is the groupies. It's you know, the groupies, the kind of you know, quick, easy to get sex. You know, that definitely, it's good cardio, good oxytocin. You know, that's definitely keeps a person, you know, it's been, yeah, over a decade now, so, you know, the music's great and all, but, you know, snacks.
You know, between you and me, I think Elvis actually is, he's got to be from another planet. You know, there was one time I came backstage and I think he must have thought nobody could see him, but it was like he was sucking the energy out of a 9-volt battery.
We were doing a gig for the Lions Club in Nebraska one time, and we got hit with a pretty bad blizzard. It was about 190 below with the wind chill factor, and some of our cars froze up. We couldn't get it started. We called AAA. You would have needed a half track to get out there. Just between you and me, don't tell anybody about this. Elvis he popped open the hood of the bus, and he took the leads of the battery, and he like squeezed them kind of hard, and then his eyes started glowing red. And son of a bitch, the fucking bus started. Like the key wasn't even in the ignition. He just kind of touched the battery, and the thing started. But, you know, don't put that in anything, because we might have the NSA or the FBI or one of these, you know, government agencies coming after him.
People talk about this idea that Elvis might actually be from outer space, like from another planet, that he's pretending wearing a human meat suit trying to assimilate into our culture. But I think that's just people being paranoid, you know, smoking a little too much. Because, I mean, realistically, you know, if you're going to come to an alien civilization where you start like a weird progressive jazz orchestra, like, why would you do that? If, you know, if your plan was really to take over the world, shouldn't he be like going to the top realms of politics, trying to get the launch codes or something? I mean, I don't know. I did see him one time, you know, trying to talk to a barbecue as if it was a computer.
It appears that he may be showing up to rehearsals and to sessions medicated. Now, whatever that medication is, pharmaceutical or other, I think everybody in the band would like to get some as well.
And it's not every day you attend a concert and you notice that there are airline seat belts installed in every seat, and a lady comes around and buckles you in before they even start tuning.
I tried to do that Braille read down, and I was sort of having to do this thing, and it wasn't cutting through the orchestra, so we basically went back to the conventional two-hand technique. So yeah, he did that one time. It was really weird.
We'd love to perform on other planets. We're trying to work that out with NASA right now. I don't know how feasible that's going to be, you know, but we're working on it.
Elvis he's good to look at, so I like that part. But these guys in the audience, you know, they just stare. They stare. They sometimes they have their ears plugged and they're just watching, and they really like the French horn. It's really like their favorite instrument. They're there to hear French horn.
It's a difficulty performing over the mountains of men's underwear that gets thrown onto the stage. And, you know, not to be sexist or anything, but generally, I would have to say, women, their underwear tends to be daintier and a little cleaner. You know, the men's underwear, on many levels, it's disturbing. But you know, we muddle through. Me and Thing, we lock arms and push through the tighty-whities.
I do have a reputation in the porn industry of also being the ultimate love muscle, and I'm up here. And as the ultimate love muscle, I put forth a certain spiritual prowess that the ladies in the audience find irresistible. And I have to say, I do have an extensive collection of ladies' undergarments. I actually had to get a warehouse for them. And it's kind of stuffed in. We use a forklift and a bulldozer to get them all in there. I do get a lot of ladies' undergarments. And I'm thinking of actually opening like a catalog business of selling used Dangerous Dan thrown undergarments for ladies' apparel. I think if we went on eBay or something, we could probably make some money.
I'm a classically trained instrumentalist. I've spent years and years perfecting my craft. So, you know, I'm used to playing classically and more exact. But then all of a sudden, he'll write something like, I mean, what is that? That's just crazy. You know, recently I've had to start going to therapy 8 times a week, some days twice, some days 4 times a week, 4 times a day. I don't know how the math all works out, but anyway, yeah, it's been challenging. And since I don't have any insurance, medical insurance, it's gotten very expensive. So I need some more gigs from Elvis. I'm going to have to ask him about that on my way out. Therapy has been required after playing with Elvis, and yet I have to keep doing it. It's just something, I've been talking to my therapist about that, Very scary. I don't know where this is all going to lead, quite honestly, and actually quite afraid. I was fine before I joined the Orchestra Surreal.
You know, the journey of Miss Thing has been, I'm sorry. Can we cut?
So Elvis will do some really crazy musical juxtapositions that go from the simple rockabilly type guitar, like he'll go like, yeah, Elvis. You know, some Scotty Moore, really simple rockabilly blues. And then Elvis will take that and twist it up and it'll make you play something like this, like. And that's all had to be in unison with 4 string players and a couple of brass people. And it's reading. And the stretches on the guitar are really awkward. And I think he does that to make the guitar player feel bad. The Orchestre Surreal performance is very challenging. And I think everybody in the band finds it to be one of the more interesting and rewarding musical experiences that they get to partake in. So I'm very happy to be blessed with the challenge of stepping up and trying to do it.
I think that everybody needs to experience the Orchestra Surreal just once to really know the places that an orchestra can go.
I guess if I could leave you, the first time attendee with any bit of advice about your first concert experience with the Orchestra Surreal is, much like travel to a foreign, underdeveloped nation rife with disease and parasites, perhaps make sure your vaccinations are up to date.